Heyo, I'm Ori, and welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk about game dev and the software that you can use to make games. So, if you're like me, you're probably trying to make games all by yourself, which is fine to an extent, but sometimes you want to make something and you go to buy it, and when you see the price you nearly get a heart attack. So I thought it'd be nice to give you guys a list of software that I've used so that you guys can create games for absolutely no money whatsoever. To keep things simple, I'm going to list off the pros and cons of each program, as well as divide the categories into 3 parts: art programs, game programs, and audio programs. I'm also not going to be going in depth on 3D art programs and focus more on 2D pixel art, simply because I don't have enough experience with those kind of programs outside of Blender and Maya. If you're interested in 3D game art though, I'll make sure to include some useful links in the description because I have messed with it a little bit. I'm also going to list them worst to best style, so the last program in every category is my top recommendation. With that being said, let's start out with the art programs. Now, the first software I'd recommend is Piskel. This is actually a program I used a lot in high school when I was making games, and it really helped me get things done quickly. The best thing about this program is that you can use it in your browser, so you don't necessarily have to download it if you don't want to. If you just want to whip up some quick art and get back into making games, you can do that. I would say it's pretty user-friendly and even has the ability to layer things, and you can even convert your frames into sprite sheets on the fly. The only problem with it, I'd say, is saving projects can be a bit finicky and only works for its own program, and there's no multi-tab feature, so if you want to have another tab open for reference, it's just not going to happen. The second software I'd recommend is MS Paint. Now, for some reason, people give MS Paint a really bad rep, but it can make some insane art. This being said, the program isn't very optimal for animation, so you won't be able to play back your art easily, and it can be a bit annoying to create sprite sheets because you have to set everything up yourself. But it has a quick and easy download. You can import any amount of colors you want and tab. Saving your work is very simple, but like I said, not the best option for animation and can take some time to actually set up your sprite sheets, so just take that into consideration. You have to do a lot more manual work. The third software I'd recommend is GraphicsScale. Now, this is something I used briefly in high school, and it worked pretty well. In fact, if you didn't know, this is the program Timmy Chain uses for their sprites, although I'm not sure if they still use it. My biggest con with this program is that it is not user-friendly, at least for me. And getting over that hurdle just to draw can be really annoying. So you have access to a nice library of colors, allows for simple sprite exports, and you can even animate in it, which is great. Only cons is the UI is not beginner friendly and the software is pretty old, so you have basically no support for it. The final program I'd recommend is Sprite. Now slow down, because I know you're thinking, well, this guy's fucking stupid because Sprite clearly costs 20 bucks. What kind of idiot doesn't research his videos before? And I'm here to tell you that it is free if you compile it yourself. That being said, Sprite is a powerful tool that allows you to basically do everything. It has a massive community filled with support, allows for simple exports and sprite sheet creation. It's just a really great program in general. You even have a nice built-in library with color palettes in case you can't think of any color palettes yourself. It's very awesome. Really, the only con I would say is that if you want it for free, you have to compile it, and that would take a bit of time. Next up, let's cover programs that you can use to make games. The first program I'd recommend is Scratch, because it allows you to do a lot of Okay, now hear me out. You can make some incredible things in Scratch if you truly wanted to. Remember that the pencil is just a tool for creation, but it takes an artist to use it effectively. That being said, I wouldn't recommend using Scratch for large-scale projects, as it can get a bit hard to manage and have performance issues. But if you want a quick program that requires no coding knowledge, it's very great. Very user-friendly and easy to use. You can share games with your friends easily, and you don't need any coding knowledge. The only cons is that it's not optimal for large-scale projects, and integrating your own art can be a bit finicky. The second program I'd recommend is Construct 2. Now, if you like Scratch, this will seem like Scratch's older brother. It can do a lot more and can handle slightly larger projects. It is basically everything Scratch can do and then some. Again, the downside is that I personally, wouldn't recommend making large-scale games in it. And just to be clear, visual scripting in general can get a bit confusing to look at sometimes. The pros are no coding knowledge required and it's extremely user-friendly. The cons is it's just not optimal for larger scale projects. Finally, I'd recommend Godot. Now, Godot rocks. You can basically do anything in it, and it even handles 3D very good. I've tried Godot a couple times, but I thought GameMaker was more simple due to just how it felt. Unlike GameMaker, Godot is completely free. Really, my only downside is that the interface can be a bit intimidating for beginners, but it's still amazing. The pros would be great for making large-scale games, a community filled with support, and you can easily export your games for other devices. The only cons is that the visual scripting in Godot is just don't use that at all, and the user interface can be a bit hard to pick up for new people. Finally, I want to talk about audio programs and just things that allow you to make music. The first program I'd recommend is Lens. Now, I haven't used this program in a while, like I've used it in my freshman year and some in middle school, but from what I remember, it was very efficient and great for making relatively simple or complex music. The biggest downside for me is that it has terrible sample support, and I know a lot of people like using samples because they want their games to sound a certain way. So the pros is that it can create music easily, and the interface is relatively simple. The only cons is that the DAW itself is pretty old, so if you wanted to look for support, there's basically none on it. The second program I'd recommend is Beatbox. Now, I've used this program for a couple different things, mainly for sound effects for my games, and it's pretty powerful. The only downside I'd say is that the program is pretty limited to just chiptune music, so if you want to make different kinds of music or different kinds of sounds, you'll have to find a different DAW. You can easily make chiptune music, and it's great for sound effects, but I wouldn't say it's optimal if you want to make full compositions or full pieces. You can, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, the final program I'd recommend is GarageBand. This program is beautiful because it comes with a built-in library of preset sounds and in general lets you make any kind of music you want. You can also sample with GarageBand. So if you want to make songs with sound fonts, it takes a bit of work, but you can do it. I would say that the pros is that the interface is very easy to use and you can get a wide range of music with a library that gives you, I think, up to 1,000+ instruments. The biggest con, and really the only con, is that it's Mac exclusive. So sorry PC users, you're just not going to be able to use it. And that's really it. Those are my choices for programs I would recommend, but I want to go over a couple ones that I'd recommend, but it didn't really fit into any category. So get ready for the quick list. Let's go. GameMaker Studio actually has a trial version that you can use for 30 days. I'd recommend you try it out since it's overall a great program. FL Studio also has a trial version, and this one allows you to use it as much as you want. The only downside is that you can't save your projects. So if you want to mess around and just see how the DAW feels, use FL Studio. I use FL Studio to this day and it's amazing and completely worth the money. To record your games in general or just, share clips with your friends, I use OBS. It's very simple and it's free, and you can use it to just quickly record things, share it, post it on Discord and whatnot. And for video editing, I use Adobe Premiere. Very good, very intuitive. It's not free, of course. Unfortunately, you have to sell your soul and get a monthly subscription if you want to use it. And I'm pretty sure there's absolutely no way you can get it for free, like at all. And just remember that this is just a software I've used, and I think that this will work great for other people. It's really just important to find a tool that works for you and stick with it, because the software is only the first step in making the games. Try not to get strung up on, what program is the best for this or which DAW is superior because this person uses it, and just have fun making games. If you guys have any other software that you think would be great for beginners, please share in the comments. They can be free or paid. And I just love hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.